Hello, friends, and welcome to the Pine Grove Briar. I'm your host, and this is the podcast where history smokes slow and smooth, with a little hint of burley blend and enough gunpowder just to keep your boots on edge. We're glad you joined us on this episode. And if you can tell, I'm a fan of the Old West and those that rode the open range and gunfighters and such. And we're glad you joined us here. This podcast is about more than just history, it's about character. About those frontier souls whose lives smoldered like the ember in a well-packed pipe, burning bright with danger, grit, and sometimes grace. In this episode, we're going to ride alongside a figure draped in myth and shadow, Wild Bill Hickok. Gunfighter, gambler, army scout, lawman, and yes, a pipe man. But more than the sum of his shootouts and saloon days, Hickok was a quiet enigma on the open range. So light your pipe, lean back into your chair, and let's drift through the haze of time and into the legend of Wild Bill Hickok. But before we get into today's story, I want to remind you of a couple of things. Today we're actually going to light our pipe filled with the Burlier's blend from the Gatlin Burlier Tobacconist in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, found in the Mountain Mall on Level D. If you get an opportunity to go down there and talk to those guys, man, I'm telling you, I tell you guys this every episode, but if you're a tobacco pipe smoker, tobacco chewer, it's like walking into Disney World for tobacco lovers like me. So go down there and see those guys. It'll be a treat for you. I also want to make mention of Lee's Bait and Tackle, found in the Northtown Plaza in Oneida, Tennessee, on top of the 4-lane. They will do you right on prices. Actually, Lee just made me some custom lizards, and he will do the same for you. And right now, up until Memorial Day, Lee is offering a 10% discount if you tell them that the Pine Grove Briar sent you in there. That is up until Memorial Day. Lee will give you 10% discount if you tell them that the Pine Grove Briar sent you. So be sure and go see Lee. Also, go to Etsy and see our friends at Sewell's Woodworks. They have all kinds of things to offer. You can all kinds of things for your tool shelf in your garage, workshop. They offer 3D custom printed Milwaukee battery holders. They have tool holders, also holders for your iPhone, your your PlayStation controller, and they offer cup holders for razors, side by sides, and it's just go check them out. Find Sewell's Woodworks on Etsy. So back into the story. And by the way, I'm going to light up my pipe here real quick. Lighten it up into my beautiful briar pipe from the guys at the Gatlin Burlier Tobacconist. Wild Bill Hickok, if I can get my tongue untied, was born James Butler Hickok in 1837 in a little Illinois town. From an early age, he was known for his skill with a pistol, with his striking appearance, long flowing hair, and deep-set eyes, and a look that could stop a man in his tracks. Wild Bill came up during the blood-stained years of bleeding Kansas and the Civil War, fighting as an Army scout and sharpshooter. The frontier was brutal and uncertain, and Wild Bill carried himself like a man who'd already faced death. But what set him apart wasn't just his skill, it was his silence. He didn't brag, he didn't posture. He spoke in measured tones, and when he lit up his pipe, something he often did on long rides or quiet moments, you got the sense that he was thinking deeper than most people think. And I'll say this, and I've said this quite often, and you may not be a pipe smoker. You may not enjoy the relaxing activity of lighting up a pipe. But if more of the world would just sit and take a moment, like Wild Bill did, and just contemplate, Everybody has an attitude. Everybody's got an opinion these days and not afraid to speak their mind. That's okay. That's quite all right. Speak your mind. That's what we have in this nation is freedom of speech. And I'm thankful for it. But having said that, if we take more time to just contemplate and think about things, I think we'd live in a better world. But Wild Bill wasn't looking for trouble. But as trouble does, more often than not, trouble found Wild Bill. As a lawman in places like Hayes and Abilene, Wild Bill faced down drunks, outlaws, and killers. He once stared down 8 men alone and he walked away alive. But even in the wild chaos of frontier towns, Wild Bill kept a calm, watchful presence. Witnesses say he'd sit outside the saloon, pipe in hand, just watching, listening. A man who understood the value of stillness. He lived by instinct, intuition, and a code. And his pipe, it was more than habit. It was part of the rhythm of his life, like tamping down the ash of a long day. And by the way, I'm drinking a cup of coffee to go along with this Wild Bill story in my pipe. In those days, pipe tobacco wasn't a luxury. It was part of a man's identity. A pouch of strong, earthy blend kept close to the heart. You can imagine Wild Bill rolling his own or packing a pipe as he leaned against the hitching post, eyes scanning the street. In 1876, Wild Bill arrived in Deadwood, South Dakota, a gold rush town, lawless, full of tension and whiskey. Bill was older now and slower. His eyesight was fading, but he still carried himself like the legend he was. He played poker to make a living, favoring a seat with his back to the wall, always aware. That's exactly like I like to sit too, back to the wall so I can see everything. Wild Bill was always aware until the day he wasn't. On August 2nd, 1876, a man named Jack McCall shot Wild Bill from behind while he played poker. What were the cards in Bill's hand? A pair of aces and eights. Ever since, that's been known as the dead man's hand. The ember went out, but the legend remained. What a story. What a guy. What a man. Not just a guy, what a man. He understood the value, and I said this earlier, he understood the value of stillness and silence. I wish I understood that a little bit more often sometimes. Right now, it's time for one of my favorite parts of our show, where we read some of the comments and emails we get. These come from people just like you, pipe smokers, history lovers, and people who appreciate a good story told slow. Our first one comes from Hank in Missouri. He writes, Wild Bill's always been a hero of mine. My granddad kept a carved meerschaum pipe on the mantle, said it reminded him of Bill. He'd smoke it every 4th of July and tell his kids about frontier justice. I reckon that pipe taught me more about values than any book ever did. That's the kind of legacy that lingers longer than smoke. Appreciate that, Hank. Next up, Sarah from Idaho writes, I'm not a pipe smoker, but I do ride horses and love Old West history. I always thought Wild Bill was a sad figure, caught between being a man and becoming a myth. Thanks for telling his story with quiet dignity. Sarah, we appreciate that. There's always room on the porch. Pipe or no pipe. We also heard from Tom in Montana. I've been a sheriff's deputy for 20 years, and I've always admired the restraint and presence of guys like Hickok. Sure, he was fast, but more than that, he was steady. I listen to your show on my night patrols. It helps keep me level. Tom, that means the world to me. You're walking the same line Wild Bill did. Keep steady out there. And lastly, a note from Emily in Tennessee. My father used to sit on the porch with a corncob pipe and hum old cowboy tunes. He said Wild Bill was one of the last true men of the frontier. I miss those porch talks, but this show brings them back. Emily, that's what this is all about. Bringing back what still matters. I appreciate all those notes we received. And if I were to recommend a tobacco to go with Wild Bill's story, I'd reach for a bold, rugged, burley blend. Something with some body, like what I'm smoking today. Earthy, a little smoky, maybe a touch of dark fire tobacco. Nothing sweet, nothing fancy. Maybe even a homemade burley Perique mix for those who like to have a little while. Pack it in a sturdy briar and sit under the stars and tip your hat to Wild Bill. So we come to the end of our trail today. Wild Bill Hickok, a man of silence, smoke, and sudden action. Thanks for riding along with me on this journey. This has been the Pine Grove Briar. I'll see you down the trail. Until next time, keep your powder dry, your pipe lit, and your stories true.